Greetings, math fans. All right, so today is day 3 notes, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to review greatest common factor, we're going to review difference of two squares, and then we're going to get into factoring trinomials. Okay, it's where you have a polynomial, it's with 3 terms. So let's get started with a little review here. All right, so this is greatest common factor, and you guys should remember, you look for the number and the variable with the lowest exponent that is in all the terms. Okay, so this one, greatest common factor is 2, so I'm going to divide each of these by 2. And don't forget, you're going to put a 2 on the outside, and then you get x plus 4. And that's your answer. Pretty easy, right? Okay, so the next one, it's x to the 5th is my smallest exponent, and y to the 3rd. So I'm going to divide each of these by x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. And I get that, x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. And then when you divide, right, the x to the 5th cancel, and I get y to the 5th, because 8 minus 3 is 5. And then plus x to the 7th over x to the 5th is x squared, and the y cubed over y cubed cancels out. So that's your answer. Now remember, math fans, you can double check this by just distributing that x to the 5th, y cubed to both of those terms, and you should get the original answer. Okay, it's not a bad way to check it. All right, so the next one, I'm going to factor out of 5x squared. So 5x squared, and you get inside the parenthesis then 3x plus 4. Okay, so far so good. Okay, what goes into 8, 32, and 16? Well, actually 8 does, and that's my smallest exponent for x, so it's actually 8x is my greatest common factor. So you're going to do 8x times, you get x to the 4th, because remember this is like an x to the 1 here, if that helps. Okay, 32 over 8 is, so it's minus 4, and then it's x squared, and then plus 2. Okay? What can I take out of number 5? I can't do anything with number 5, because there's nothing that goes into 14 and 15 evenly, and this is an x and this is a y, so there's not even any same variable with both or in both terms, so this one you can't factor. And in other words, they use a word called prime. Okay, not related to Amazon, but prime. All right, cool. This next one will definitely have 4, and here's an x squared, here's an x, and here's an x, so it's x, and there's a y squared, so it's y. So 4xy is what I divide, and so I get 4xy, and then in parentheses I get just an x left over. The variables cancel, but I get plus 3, and then here it's minus 2, x's cancel, and I just get y, and that's my answer. Okay, not bad. Okay, the next part was difference of two squares. How do you recognize difference of two squares? First of all, make sure you have a minus sign, and everything has to be a perfect square. So that is important. You have 2 perfect squares. So for the first one, x squared is a perfect square and 49 is. So the square root of x squared is x and x. The square root of 49 is 7 and 7. And remember, guys, it's always plus and minus for difference of two squares. Okay, very, very, very important. Okay, number 8. Well, what do you see right off the bat here, math fans? I see a plus sign. It's got to be a minus sign. So this one you can't factor. So I'll just say prime, because it's a plus sign there. Okay? All right, this next one, it is a difference of two squares because 36 perfect square, x to the 10th. Remember I said what to do is 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that's x to the 5th, and then it's a minus. So it's basically 6 plus x to the 5th and 6 minus x to the 5th. And that's your answer. Okay, the next one, what is it? Well, you should recognize that 18 is not a perfect square, so this one's prime. Remember, it has to have a minus sign, and they all have to be perfect squares. So like 11, 4, square root of 4 is 2, square root of x squared is x, square root of 25 is 5, and then plus minus. It doesn't matter if it's plus minus or minus plus, you get the same answer. So same thing with this one. Square root of 9x squared is 3x and 3x. Square root of 16y is 4y and 4y, and then it's plus and minus. Okay, So that was review. Now what we're going to do is, before we get started with this part here, we need to determine the signs of the answer. So like, you know how we did back here where we did 2x plus 5 and 2x minus 5, and we knew the signs. One's opposite the other, plus and minus. Well, when we factor trinomials, you actually have to look at the signs. So if you guys can kind of write, before we actually get into this part, signs are so important. Oh my gosh, they are so important. If you can't get the signs right, you can't get these problems right. All right? So basically, if you guys can take a little bit, these are some notes right here. And really what I have is, I'm not even going to like fill it in, but if I just have x squared plus something x plus something. Okay, so really the key thing here is I'm going to make this in red. The signs are plus and plus. So here's the deal, math fans. It needs to multiply to give you a plus sign. Okay, so it's got to multiply to give you that, and it has to add or subtract to give you the middle term. Okay, so here's the deal. If it has to multiply to give you a positive, what are the signs going to be? So I'm going to draw two sets of parentheses. What are the signs going to be? Well, if it has to multiply to give you positive, they're either going to be both positive or both negative. So let's write this down here. Both positive or both negative. Well, if it has to add and subtract to give you a plus sign, do you guys agree that both of them are positive? So those are your signs. So again, the key thing here, math fans, is first you're going to look at this guy right here. You're going to look at that sign. If it's positive, so if it's positive, which is this one, it's the same sign. And then what you do is you look at this, determine it's plus plus. Okay? So let me just give you another example. If I said x squared, let's say minus, so x squared minus something x plus something. Right? So it's again, it's a multiply to give you this. So if it has to multiply to give you a positive value, that means it's x plus and x plus. And it has to add to give you this negative value. Well, the only way to get a negative value is, again, I have row plus plus here, but this is really minus minus. They have to be the same sign. Okay, it's really important. This, remember, I'm going to highlight this again. If this is plus, it's the same sign. Got to remember that. Same sign. If it's not plus, so let's just go right down here. If it's something like this squared, or let's say x squared, and then it's minus something x, and then minus something. All right, guys, if you notice this right here, that negative sign, I'm going to write negative here. If it has to multiply to give you negative, don't you guys agree that one has to be positive, one has to be negative? Okay? And that's the beauty of this, is one's positive and one is negative, so it's going to be x plus something and x minus something. So here's another little clue. Whatever this number is, if that's and again, we'll talk about how to get the numbers here in a little bit. But if that's negative, just make sure when you add and subtract, you get a negative value. Okay? So we're going to do a bunch of examples in a second. But if this guy right here is negative, the signs are automatically opposite. So signs are opposite. Got to know that. Okay, signs are opposite. If it's a plus sign, so again highlighting this, if this is a plus sign, the last term, then it's the same sign. So you look at then this part right here. So if it's the same sign, it's either both positive or both negative. But if this guy right here is negative, it's automatically signs are opposite. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now let's go back to the kind of the notes on here. Kind of scribbled over them a little bit. It says list all pairs of combinations that multiply to do the following. So do you guys agree 12, if I come up with values that give me 12, so the first one, which is the easiest, is actually 12 and 1. Okay, there's also 6 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now some of you might say, well, how about 4 and 3? Okay, that's fine, but it doesn't really matter if it's 3 and 4, 4 and 3. But those are your combinations, 12 and 1, 6 and 2, and 3 and 4. So let's just, again, we're talking about this. We're going to get to a problem in a second here. So 15 are what? 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. Okay, 36. 1 and 36. 2 and 18. 3 and 12. 4 and 9. And 6 and 6. So there's a lot of different possibilities for 36. All right, so how are we going to use this now? So basically what you're going to do is when you see a trinomial, you're going to draw two parentheses like this. And for now, you just need to put an x here and an x here. So really, math fans, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the signs. Okay, so I'm going to highlight these signs in the first few problems. Okay. So what we're going to do is it's got a multiply to give you positive. So it's either plus plus or minus minus. And because plus here, it's going to be x plus and x plus. Okay? So now the question you're going to say is, here's the deal. What multiplies to give you the last term and adds to give you the middle term? So think about what multiplies. Let's come up with possibilities for 18. 18 can be 6 and 3. It can be 9 and 2. It can be 18 and 1. So think of what numbers add to give you 11. Well, do you guys agree that 9 and 2 add to give you 11? So the answer to this problem is x plus 9 and x plus 2. Okay? It's really not difficult. And here's the deal. It's easy to check it because, look, if I want to check it, I get x times x is x squared plus 2x plus 9x plus 18. Okay? And then I combine it together, x squared plus 11x plus 18, which is exactly what we came up with here. Okay? But your answer, math fans, is, make sure you give me the answer, is right here. X plus 9 times x plus 2. Okay? Okay, the next one. Let's put our parentheses around here. Do you guys agree it's going to be a negative value, which means the signs have to be the opposite, so plus and minus. So put your x's there. Then you say, well, what multiply just to give you 18, and it's 9 and 2. It's 8 and, no, not 8. It's 9 and 2, 6 and 3, and 18 and 1. Okay, those are your possibilities. And now because it's a minus sign, basically what you need to understand is, see how this guy right here is minus. This is minus right here. When you add the numbers up, they need to add up to -7. So really what you want to do, math fans, is just see which one gives you 7 and see if I do 9, this guy right here, 9 minus 2 is positive 7. But I need it to be a -7, so -9 plus 2 is -7. So really my answer to this problem is -9 and positive 2. And that is your answer. Okay? Not too bad. Not too bad. The next one, you guys see a sign right here. You need to make opposite signs. So x, x, and then plus minus. All right, so give me some numbers to give you 18. 6 and 3, 9 and 2, 18 and 1. Okay, which one gives you 3 when you subtract because these are opposite signs? Well, do you guys agree 6 minus 3 is 3? So x plus 6 and x minus 3. Okay, and that's your answer. It's not bad. Okay, let's do a couple more here. Okay, number 16. Again, you're going to look at the signs, and I'm going to do plus plus. And then you're going to take your 30, and you can say, oh, that's 3 and 10, that's 1 and 30, that's 6 and 5. And guys, as soon as you find it, I see a 6 and a 5 here, it's got to be the same sign. So 6 and 5, and then x and x, and that's my answer, x plus 6, x plus 5. Okay, because remember, it has to multiply to give you 30 and add to give you 11. Always multiply to give you the last term and add to give you the middle term. Okay, so the next one, it's plus and then it's minus in that term, so it's got to multiply to give you positive, so it's going to be either both negative or both positive. In this case, now they're going to be both negative. Okay, and then you're going to say the x and x, and then basically I'm going to do 30. 30 is going to be, I kind of already did that one, 3 and 10, and 1 and 30, and 6 and 5. Okay? So, and it's got to be a double negative, so it's just basically, this guy is the one that works, because if you put a 3 in here and a 10 in here, negative 3 minus 10 is negative 13. Okay? This next one, you're going to say numbers that give you 30. And so you're going to say 5 and 6. And guys, I look at this and I'm like, 5 and 6, is that going to work? No, it's negative 13. So you're going to see 10 and 3. And that does. 10 times 3 is 30. And negative 10 minus 3 is negative 13x. So it could be x minus 10 and x minus 3. Okay, not bad. The next one, let's look at the signs. Always look at the signs. So it's positive, that means the same sign, so it's plus plus. What's the, what numbers give me 6? 2 and 3, and 1 and 10. Okay, but which one gives you 5? The 2 and 3 do. So it's x plus 2, x plus 3. Okay, not bad. Let's get our signs. You guys agree it's got to be multiplying to give us negative, so it's plus minus? Has to be. All right, and then you say multiples of 6. You're either going to do 2 and 3 or 6 and 1. Okay? And the signs for the 2 and the 3, again, it has to multiply to give you negative, which is fine. Okay, we'll put that in there, 2 and 3. We know this is going to be your x and your x. Okay, and then you have to subtract because it's opposite signs. So 6 minus 1 is 5. So what you're going to do is put a 6 here and then a 1 here, because negative 1 plus 6 is 5x. And that's your answers. X plus 6, x minus 1. Okay, so far so good. We have an x and an x, and then what multiplies to give you, oh, let's look at the signs. You guys agree it's positive, positive, or negative, negative. In this case here, it's negative, negative. So basically multiples of 6 are going to be 3 and 2, or 6 and 1. Well, it's got to be 6 and 1, because it's got to give you that negative 7x. Okay? So that's your answer. Okay, cool. Got a few more to do here. 6 more. Let's keep going here. Again, you can see how important signs are, guys. So it's positive to multiply. That means it's double negative. Same sign. Okay. Remember, if this is plus, it's same sign. So 28 is going to give us 7 and 4, or 28 and 1. Or what else? 7 and 4, or I did 7 and 4. 14 and 2. And if you look, it has to be double negative. So 14 plus 2 is 16, and there we go. It's negative 16. So that's why this is x minus 16, or x minus 14. Sorry, x minus 14 and x minus 2. Okay, that's a little messy. Let me clear that up just a little bit here. So this is going to be, like I said, we said 14 and 2, so x minus 14 and x minus 2. Okay, and again, you can FOIL it out, and you'll see you get the same answer as above. Okay, so let's do another one here. It's x and x. 30 is, oh, the signs are plus plus, and the 30 is either 5 and 6 or 10 and 3. And I'm looking at the 17. I'm like, okay, let's see what else is there. Okay, what other numbers multiply to give you 15 or to give you 30? How about 15 and 2? Guys, it's always going to be a 2 if it's an even number. It always is. And this works out really well because 15 plus 2 is 17, and it's plus plus, so this is literally 15 and 2. Okay? This next one, you get x and x, and then minus 8 and plus 2. Okay, because again, it's the opposite sign, but it's minus 8 because this is negative as well. All right, that means the bigger number has to be negative, so it basically can fill in that spot. Okay, all right, cool. 3 more. This is going to be x and x, and this is minus minus, and what gives you 25? It's 5 and 5. And negative 5 minus 5 is negative 10x, so that's your answer. Okay. It's going to be x and x, and it's going to be what multiplies to give you 80, and this one's actually kind of mellow because if you do 10 and 8, as long as one of them is negative, and which one's negative? This guy right here, because 8 minus 10 is negative 2, all right, not the other way around. So truly, it's x minus 10 and x plus 8. Okay? Okay, what do you recognize this one as? This is not a trinomial. You should recognize the difference of two squares. So it's x and x, minus 4, and I mean, it's minus 4 and plus 4, and that's the answer. So the 4 and 4 are there, and then it's plus minus or minus plus, doesn't matter. And that's your answer. Okay? So we're going to spend actually a lot of days on solving or simplifying problems, and you're going to have to factor it. That's really, really important. So just to kind of recap this here, you're factoring, oops, let's go back up here. You're doing greatest common factor. Then you're basically doing factoring the difference with difference of two squares, and then you get to something that we learned just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago about multiplying and remembering what's inside of the parentheses. Okay, the sign is like super important. Okay, anyway, that's it, math fans. Have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.